Alright, so I'm back with another video, and this one is going to be reviewing several different leg pads and a glove and blocker. And kind of just the story behind that is, so if you've seen my in the bag video, and if you haven't, go check that out. My current set is a Vaughn V7XF Pro Carbon leg pads, glove and blocker. Love it. It's my second Vaughn set. Before that I had the V6 2000. And then before that, like, I've always had just like the hybrid style leg pads, double break, knee rolls, just, you know, really flexible. That's been my style leg pad. So recently I started thinking about, well, what am I going to do for my next set? And, you know, first thought is, yeah, just stick with Vaughn. I mean, I love Vaughn. Why not? But then I kind of started thinking, yeah, that's true. But, you know, there's a lot of pads out there. And being that I'm in South Florida, I don't get exposed to them because we don't really have any stores out here. There's like one pro shop. It's got like 2 sets of leg pads, like one Bauer, one CCM, and that's about it. And there's no like demo program. So, I mean, other than just seeing like other goalies around here, what they have, I'm really not exposed to a lot of pads, and especially being able to try them out, demo them, whatever. So even though I absolutely love Vaughn, I just was curious to see what else is out there, just in case, because you never know, right? So I decided to try 3 different other leg pads. The Brian's Heritage, the Warrior RGT, and with that one I tried the full set, the leg pads, the glove and blocker. It's the only glove and blocker I tried. And then I also, as like a wild card, threw in the Bauer 1S, which I'll talk about that when I get to it, but it's that one I didn't even buy it with like any serious thought as to I might actually go with the Bauer. That was just kind of more curiosity wise, but we'll get to that. So first I'm gonna show you my pads, my regular set, my Vaughns. And like I said, if you go to my in the bag video, I do a real in-depth review of these and every piece of gear I have. But yeah, so like I said, double break, you know, knee rolls, super flexible. I mean, especially at the boot, look at that. There, I mean, it'll twist and turn however you want. Nice open leg channel. So your leg is really free in there. It's got 2 elastic straps, one at the knee, one at the calf, and then the leather strapping down it. So what that allows me to do is I can strap it kind of loose, and then the leather straps provide that stopping point that it doesn't go beyond. And it's just super comfortable, moves completely with my leg however I want to move it. Any movement I do is effortless. Yeah, it's the most comfortable pad I've ever had. It's like your old sweatpants you wear around the house that just, you know, feel super comfortable. So that's like the starting point. That's where I'm at now with my current set. So naturally I'm looking out there, I'm thinking, so what's the closest to that? So Brian's came out with their Heritage line, which was marketed as, you know, the hybrid pad that's supposed to be kind of like what their older pads were. Now I've never used a Brian pad before, never owned it. I never even really got a good look at one because they're really not that popular down here. There's maybe like 1 or 2 guys I know that use Brian's, and that's about it. So I really don't get exposed to it much, but I figured if anything, I like the Heritage pad, right? Well, that was not the case actually. So this is the Brian's Heritage pad I got, and it's actually a Corey Schneider Pro Return, which, I mean, it's not that I was necessarily looking for that. It's just that, for one thing, I don't see too many of these for sale, and this is what I found in my size that was for sale, and it was a decent price, so I got it. It's not that I was really looking for Corey Schneider Pro Return. Now, the thing with that is, it's not a stock Brian Heritage pad, so that I feel like on one hand, I'm kind of not giving the Brian Heritage pad a fair review because it's not the stock one, and maybe I would like the stock one better, but it is what it is, and this is what I'm going by, so I'm just gonna do the review on this. So the stock Heritage pad comes with leather straps. It's got, from what I can see, I mean, I'm only going by pictures online because I never had one, but it looks like it's got the Velcro elastic on the knee, Velcro elastic at the calf, and then it's got several leather straps very similar to my Vaughn pads. This one is the, Corey got it, I guess, with the smart strapping, it's what Brian calls it. Now, there are attachments where you can, you can't see them now because they're hidden away, you can kind of see it here. You can add leather straps to this. Being that I'm just trying these out and demoing it, I didn't feel like putting any more money and buying the leather straps and trying it. So I'm just going with how he got it with the leather straps. I mean, with the elastic Velcro straps, the smart strap system they call it. And I did not like it. I didn't feel like it was adequate for me. I mean, the thing is, what happened is, so since all you have is the elastic and the Velcro, what I found is you really have to put it super tight on your leg to keep it on your leg. And even then, like, my knee was just coming out of the knee block a lot of times, especially in, like, I'm very active goalie, athletic goalie, kind of old school hybrid style, you know, I'm kind of all over the place, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm doing a lot of these movements and my leg's coming out of this, and especially trying to recover and whatnot. I mean, it was super uncomfortable, it was bothering me. The pad just, because of how tight I had to put it on my leg to try to prevent my leg from coming off, my knee from coming off, it just felt like it was very restrictive. And then the pad would catch on my pants sometimes, and it's like, whereas the Vaughn movements were effortless, this, it's like I'm fighting the pad, I'm forcing it to do the movements I want it to do, and that it's super uncomfortable. The other thing is, he got it with, Brian calls it Primo, other companies call it Weave, on the landing surface, which from what I've heard is supposed to help with the sliding. Now, what I found is, I thought out of all the pads I tried and my Vaughns, this has slid the worst. So that's kind of surprising to me because I was expecting it to slide pretty good with the Primo on the inside, and for me, it just wasn't the case. Maybe it has something to do with the strapping system with it doesn't go. You know, like what I'm kind of thinking is maybe the smart strap all elastic system just doesn't jive well with this Heritage pad, since it's because you're like mixing the newest strapping system that's meant for like an optic or, you know, a stiffer straight pad, and you're putting it on an older hybrid style pad. But that's the way this came, and like I said, you could get it with, I could put some leather straps on it. I didn't feel like buying it, so maybe that would change it, but just going by how I got it and how Corey had ordered it, in this iteration of the pad, I do not like it at all. Definitely would not use this. I've used it a couple times, and I don't plan on even trying these anymore, because I don't know what else I could change on them that would change how they play. And it's uncomfortable. I don't like the way it plays. I don't like the way it slides. Even though it's double brake, it's not that flexible. I mean, it's flexible than I guess a lot of just stiff straight pads with no brakes, but it's not as flexible as my Vaughn's. It does not feel anywhere near as comfortable on my leg. So that's a big no for the Brian's Heritage for me. Again, like I said, I'm probably not giving the pad a fair try because it is a custom. This one is a custom pad. It's not the stock one. But just going by this, I don't like it. So that was the first one I tried. Liked it the least. Second one, the Warrior RGT. Now, I've tried the G3 in the past. Was pretty impressed by it. Ultimately, though, it's just, you know, it's a stiff pad. Completely different style pad than my Vaughn's. So while I was impressed with how it performed and the kind of technology behind it, I just knew it wasn't a pad I was going to be able to use like as a full-time pad. Then they came out with the RGT, which was marketed as a hybrid pad. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a little more up my alley. So I want to give these a try. So there's a guy selling these, the full set, brand new with tags, glove and blocker, really good price. So even though I wasn't looking to try a glove and blocker, I snatched it up. So I'm pretty impressed with Warrior overall. I just think like the technology they put into the pads, like the things they come up with, it's more than any other manufacturer is doing. Like the, cliche to say, think outside the box, whatever you want to call it. But like some of the technology that goes in these pads I'm really impressed with. And while some of it maybe doesn't fit my game, I mean, I can still appreciate what it does and how other people might benefit from it. So again, this doesn't have leather straps or anything. You're relying on elastic, Velcro, and it's got a very enclosed calf area because of this calf wrap here, which again is sort of a departure from my Vaughns, because I'm used to having a lot of room. I mean, when you open it up like this, you got some room here. It's still not, the leg channel is not quite as open as my Vaughns, but then the way it straps with this closing around your calf and then you Velcro this over there, it still just feels too closed around my leg. It just feels like bindings on my leg, and it's just not what I'm used to. It doesn't feel comfortable. At least though, the way this is designed, it's not, my knee does not come off the block. Like, it's almost impossible for your knee to come off the block. You'd have to wear this so ridiculously loose for that to happen, because it's just the way it's designed, like it's keeping your leg in there. So it did feel a little more comfortable than the Bryans. But still, just the fact that my leg is completely being engulfed in this calf wrap was a little jarring. And then, again, even though this is marketed as a hybrid pad, whatever, it's still not that flexible. I mean, maybe it's just that I like a ridiculously flexible pad, and I've been spoiled with these Vaughns. But to me, it's not really that flexible. There's some bit of flexion in the boot. Again, nowhere near like what my Vaughn is. And this pad is only a single break. I think it is available to be ordered in a double break, but you really don't see those for sale other than if you order them yourself custom, which I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want to spend that much money. Like I said, I got a really good deal on these, so I tried them the way they were. The one break it has, you can tell it's pretty flexible in that break, but up here, it really doesn't flex at all. And that's something being that I have bad hips and I have a narrow butterfly, so I really rely on being able to bring that top part in to cover the 5-hole area. So like what happens when I try these other pads that don't do that, it exposes my knees more, which I wear good knee pads. I wear Warrior Ritual Pro knee pads. They're very protective, but I don't really want to be relying a lot on having that be what's making saves, you always just want to have the pad there covering the 5-hole if you can. So, what they did with the difference between the G3, the G4, and this RGT is they kind of toned down the sidewall outer part here, because they said that it kind of interfered with certain movements the goalie would do sometimes, and I can see that. It does sort of free the pad up a little more, like especially if you're doing things like a VH or you're really crouching low. It doesn't, sometimes it would kind of interfere with on the G3, and with these it's a little, it opens it up a little more for that. Talking about the sliding, I felt like these slid better than the Bryans Heritage, but I still didn't feel like they slid better than my Vaughns, which I was kind of surprised with, because from what I remember when I tried the G3s, they slid pretty good, and for whatever reason, I don't feel like I slide as good with these. I don't know if it's the minor design differences they did on this from the G3, but for whatever reason, I mean, it doesn't slide bad, but I was expecting more. So, you know, ultimately, it's still stiffer than I would like it to be. It doesn't slide as good as I thought. Some of the really positive things, though, I mean, it's super light. It's ridiculously light. It's like you're wearing a player shin pad. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, like especially with sticks and goalie masks that, you know, they market it as light, whatever. And yeah, it's lighter, but you're talking about like grams. It's such a minute amount lighter that it's not that noticeable. But with these, it's noticeable, and it's noticeable the whole time you're playing how ridiculously light these are. It's really crazy. So, I mean, that's a really good thing about it. And I mean, even some of the things I'm saying that I'm presenting as something bad, it's more just, it's something that I don't like personally, doesn't fit my game, whereas other people might like it. You know, I'm not trying to bash Warrior at all. Like I said, I'm really impressed with them as a brand. You know, I feel like the pads are really well designed. I like the technology behind it. I can see like where their thinking is in certain areas and what the ideas that go into it, and I think it's really good. And I think for a lot of people, this would be a great pad. It just, for me, it doesn't quite fit what I need. So that's the Warrior RGT. Now we move on to the Bauer 1S, which, like I said, I kind of just bought this out of curiosity. I got it pretty cheap because it's pretty beat up. I don't know if you can see, you know, which I know one of the things with Bauer 1S was the quality of it. A lot of people complained, which supposedly they fixed with later models of the 1S, and now with the 2S, Bauer claims that they fixed the quality problems. I have no idea. This is the only Bauer 1S pad I've ever owned or used at all. But anyway, so yeah, it just because it's both from the positive and negative I heard about this pad, I was just kind of curious. So, you know, I saw somebody was selling it cheap because it was beat up, and I figured, well, why not? Give it a try. And I actually ended up liking this pad the best out of the pads I've tried. I mean, I don't like it better than my Vaughn, but I like it better than the Brian's Heritage and the Warrior RGT. And if you would have told me that before I tried any pads that I was gonna like the Bauer 1S, there's no way I would have believed you at all, because I was like the guy always kind of shitting on Bauer when they came out with this pad, as being like, oh, it was a piece of plywood, you know, and then especially when the quality control was bad on it, and it's, you know, everyone was complaining about it. It's, you know, it was very easy to kind of pile up on Bauer, and I gotta admit, I was kind of wrong. I mean, with this, the quality is still not there with this one, but like I said, they supposedly fixed that, and if they did, it's a good pad, man. Like, I have to admit, I was surprised, and I was wrong about these pads. I thought I was gonna hate them. I actually don't hate them. I mean, they're still a stiff pad, no brakes, so that doesn't really fit my style, but they felt good on my leg. Now, here's the thing with that, though. The previous owner, or one of the previous owners, I don't know how many people owned this before I got it, modified the pad. So, just like how I said, I probably not giving the Brian Heritage a fair shake when I said I don't like it because of how it's been customized, there's a chance that maybe I wouldn't like the stock Bauer 1S pad as much as I like this one that's been modified. So here you see the leg channel. Out of all the other pads I've tried, this probably is the most open leg channel. Now, again, like I said, this is the only 1S pad I've had, so I've never had another one in my hands that I could compare it to, but like when I've seen pictures online of it, stock comes with like a wrap sleeve thing here that velcros over your calf. The guy, like I said, the guy or whoever who owned it before me took that out and instead made his little version of like a professor strap, I guess you'd call it, with this elastic velcro piece. And he attached it to the cord that runs down the pad, and then you attach it to the other flap on the other side. So this really helps anchor the pad to your leg without having to put the rest of the elastic super tight like you have to do on the Bryans to get it to stand your leg. So my knee isn't slipping out of here because of this extra strap here that anchors it in, but yet it keeps the leg channel pretty open, pretty loose, so that my leg doesn't feel tied up. It doesn't really feel restricted. So I mean, as far as like with my movements and stuff, this pad felt the best out of the 3 I tried. Ultimately though, it's stiff, it's very straight, which that could be a positive to some people. To me, it's not, just because of my own personal preference and style. So it's not, I'm not trying to say it's something Bauer did wrong. It's just not something that I like in my pad. And even though it still felt pretty good, I played pretty good in these pads. Sliding wise, these slid as good as my Vaughns, if not maybe a little better. I mean, they definitely slid better than the other 2 pads I tried. But I think just ultimately, because of the stiffness, because there's no breaks in it, because you can't kind of bend the thigh rise in more, I just don't feel like it fits my game as good as the Vaughn does. That being said, I'm actually decided I'm gonna keep the Bauer 1S pads just as like an emergency backup set, or maybe even I'll start using them like if I play pickup or whatever, just to keep from having a lot more wear and tear in my Vaughns. Whereas I plan on selling off the other stuff I tried. But this one, because, I mean, like I said, it's pretty beat up, so I probably wouldn't get much money for it anyway. And I mean, I actually like it enough that I don't mind using it. Not as comfortable as my Vaughns, would still pick the Vaughns over it, but could definitely use these, no problem. And if for someone else who's got good hips, good butterfly, is a little more fundamentally, technically sound, I could definitely see how this pad, it would just be amazing for someone like that. I mean, it's still pretty good for me, and this is not even like the kind of style pad that is meant for a goalie like me. So, like I said, I almost feel like I owe Bauer an apology, because I have shit on them in the past about these pads, but I was actually surprised by it. It's actually kind of impressive. Like I said, the only downside with this specific one and the older 1S ones was the quality, which supposedly they fixed. Well, remains to be seen, but yeah, if they dialed in that quality, I mean, this is a really good pad. So now I'm going to talk about the Warrior RGT glove and blocker. First, we'll start with the blocker. Not a whole lot to say about it. It's very mobile on your wrist. You can move it around, whatever. Feels very good. Pretty solid, man. Pretty protective. I would say it might even be a little more protective than my Vaughn. Whereas maybe my Vaughn has slight more wrist mobility, but I like either one is good. I can use either one. It's not like I have any complaints about my Vaughn or this Warrior blocker. The one thing I think is really cool with this Warrior blocker, which is like it goes with what I said about how they are with their technology and what they put into the pads, is how you can move the palm up and down the blocker. So you can adjust it to your preference. Other brands, they have one blocker where the palm is lower, and then they have another model where the palm is higher, but whatever you get, you're stuck with. This one, you can switch it up. You can move it to your preference. I think that's really cool. So when I got it, it was a little higher up, which is not what I like. I like the palm lower because I do a lot of paddle down stuff. So I moved it down, worked out fine, loved it. Grips the stick easy. Fingers can move good. It's pretty hard, solid, so you can really send those pucks flying off the blocker. It's just solid all around, well balanced blocker. And if I had to go away from my Vaughn blocker, I would definitely use this in a heartbeat. Definitely recommend this. It seems like a really good blocker. From what I've used it, it's really good. Moving on to the RGT glove. This is a different break than my Vaughn. My Vaughn is a 60-degree break. break. The RGT glove comes stock with a 70-degree break. I think you could probably, if you're ordering custom, you could probably change the break on it. Now the difference between the RGT glove and like their G3 or G4 glove, the G3, G4 has an interchangeable palm area, and you can change, which changes the break. You can get a 60-degree palm, a 75-degree palm, or a 90-degree palm, and you can interchange that. With the RGT, it's sewn in, so you can't change it. Like I said, I think you can order it custom differently, but whatever you get, you're stuck with. You can't change it out, which I don't think, that's the only thing I would complain about with the RGT compared to the G3 or G4. I think it's better to give someone the option of changing it if they want to. Like, that's what I think was cool about the blocker, that you could adjust it. And I think that's cool about the G3 or G4 glove. The reasoning I've heard behind that they did it was they claim it's like more responsive and your hand feels more of a part of the glove when it's sewn in. But from when I use the G3, I honestly don't notice a difference. So I feel like it'd be better to just have the option of being able to switch it out if you wanted to. That being said, while it did feel weird having a different closure angle on this, 70-degree from my 60-degree Vaughn, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, once I started playing with it, I kind of got used to it. I still prefer the Vaughn better, but I can use this. It's not like a huge deal. Out of the box, this is how it closed. This is the easiest closing glove I've ever seen out of a box, brand new. And with that being said, you might think, oh, maybe sacrificing protection, but no, this thing is a tank. This is probably the most protective, just regular, I've never owned like a pro palm or practice palm. I've always just got regular stock gloves, and this is the most protective glove I've ever owned. It's almost like overkill, but at the same time, it's still lighter than just about any other glove out there. So, I mean, if you can put that much protection and still keep it that light, why not, right? The only kind of downside to that I found is because it's so light and it's also so protective, you don't really feel the puck as good as I feel in my Vaughn glove. My Vaughn glove, whenever I catch a puck, like I know it's in there, I can feel it. A lot of times with this glove, I'll catch it and I have to do a double take and check. Like, did I catch it? Because like you almost don't even feel like it's a glove. Like you see the puck going in your glove, but you don't feel that response, that, I don't know, that feeling in your glove. And it's a little jarring, especially at first. I mean, you get a little more used to it, but I don't know, it's just weird to be kind of unsure that you caught the puck. I mean, it's probably something that if I really kept using it more and more, I'd probably get used to it. But just, at first, it's, compared to my Vaughn glove, it's a little weird. Now, I would say probably the best part, and it's not just with this glove, all Warrior gloves are made like this at the cuff, but it's the best part of the Warrior gloves is how your hand fits in there. Like when I first tried the G3 and put my hand in, I was like, is this a senior glove or an intermediate glove? And like my buddy was like, no, it's a senior glove. But because of the way I was so used to my hand in any other glove I've ever had going deeper in and having the cuff come up more, so my hand was more engulfed in it, I was so used to that when I put on the Warrior glove and your hand feels like it's barely in there, you think, oh, it doesn't fit, but no, that's the way it's supposed to fit. And the reason behind it is it really opens up how you can flex your wrist. Look at that. There's this part of the glove, and here's my wrist. You can see how I can present that glove out straight like that, Talking about active hands and presenting your glove, it's effortlessly put it out and have it presented, the whole face of the glove and cuff and everything, just straight out. Now, just for a comparison, I'm going to show you my Vaughn glove, which I like. It's a really good glove, very comfortable, super comfortable glove actually. However, and this is how most gloves are, your hand goes deeper in there, cuff comes up more. So now, when I go, this is, without really having to push it, this is about how much I can flex my wrist. If I really push it, but that's uncomfortable. Like I'm not going to be standing there in a stance and having to really force my wrist like that, you know. So, and this is like the front view of it. You can see it's more at an angle this way. I can't. So like where the Warrior glove is more like that, but I can't present the Vaughn quite as good like that. Like I really have to torque my wrist to try to get it. Whereas with the Warrior, it's just effortless to present it like that. And I think that's, I'm trying this, I like that better. I think more companies should make their gloves so that it kind of has the cuff, less of a cuff and more open wrist area. I mean, like I said, that being said though, I do like my Vaughn glove, but I have to admit that is a really good option that the Warrior gloves give you. And this glove really sucks up the pucks. Like I've talked to other people that use Warrior gloves and they say the same thing. I've even anecdotally have had people tell me when I've tried this glove out, saying like, oh man, you're really catching all the pucks, you know, it's really sucking up the pucks. So like for whatever reason, I don't know, this glove's like a puck magnet. So I'm super impressed with the glove and the blocker. You know, whereas the leg pads, while, like I said, I was, yes, impressed with like the technology behind it, whatever, but I just ultimately felt like the leg pads weren't for me. But the glove and the blocker, I would use this glove and a blocker in a heartbeat. Ultimately though, when I get my next set, and I'm gonna stick with a Vaughn, I'm gonna get the Vaughn glove and blocker because I'm OCD and I want everything to match. But like, if I could get the Warrior glove and blocker with a matching graphic and color, I probably would actually go with a Warrior glove and blocker and then the Vaughn leg pads. That's not to say though, it's not like a huge difference. It's like, not like, oh, I hate the Vaughn glove and blocker and the Warrior is so much better. The Warrior is slightly better. I like it slightly better than the Vaughn, but not enough that I would go out of my way to get the Warrior glove and blocker. But if you are in the market for a new glove and blocker and you're open to any brand, I would definitely say check out Warrior. Like just the technology behind it, the options they give you, I mean the design of it, it's just really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the stuff I've been trying out lately. Hopefully if you guys have been interested in any of these pads that I've tried, hopefully you got something out of this video. Maybe answer some questions you might have had, maybe pique your curiosity about some of these pads and you want to try them out. But yeah, like I said, so I pretty much decided that I'm going to stick with Vaughn with my next set. I mean, I'm still open if I see something else for a good price that I want to try. I mean, but I feel like I've tried the pads that I would like, that are like like I said, marketed as like the hybrid style, older kind of style pads like the Heritage and the RGT. So I don't really think any other pad would be my style, although I was surprised with the Bauer and I actually did like them. But yeah, ultimately I think Vaughn is just fits my playing style the best. Just how comfortable, how soft it is, how it feels like it's a part of your leg instead of something strapped onto your leg. Just the responsiveness of it, it just completely fits my style personally. And if you want to see like my style, I have some videos. I posted some highlight videos. I have video of a practice I actually got to do with the Florida Panthers a few years ago. Like I said, I have a video on my channel for like a what's in the bag video where I completely go over all my equipment I use. So if you guys want to check any of that out, go ahead and just look at my channel and you can find that easily. So yeah, I'll see you next time.